Hey guys, Preston here. Welcome back to another video. Today we're doing the post-game reaction to Notre Dame, Florida State. I'm recording this like 12:30 a.m. like an hour, a little over an hour probably since the game ended. The game went pretty long. I got a lot of things about this game. It looked rough. If you watch my prediction video, I will tell you this was more towards that kind of borderline worst case scenario that could have happened to this team. We got the win, so I'm not having a meltdown right now. I'm not screaming at this camera. But to say, I think disappointed is a word you could use. I mean, I'm a little mixed on that. Some people are just, oh, Notre Dame's done. Oh, they're done. Oh, they're over. Not a chance against Clemson. Oh, they'll get blown out. And like, yeah, the whole Notre Dame's overrated crowd, which we always have because people love to hate us, which is, it's fine. Kind of comes with the pros and cons, right? Notre Dame fan means you get your TV network's NBC network. You know, everyone gets to see your games. Generally, we're a blue blood program. We're generally good, you know. At least, definitely now we are. We're a relatively good team, averaging like 10 wins a year. So, you know, people just don't like us, man. It's just been that way. But regardless of that, there is some valid things that went on this game, mainly on the defense. There's pros and cons. I kind of want to get let's focus on the let's focus on the negatives first. I guess we'll hound in on some of these cons that happened today. This defense really disappointed me today, if I'm being completely honest with you. There's a lot of issues going on, mainly tackling. The failure to wrap people up was just, there was an astronomical level of missed tackles today. Guys were getting carried. The quarterback, is it Jordan? Sorry, something Travis, Jay Travis on ESPN. I'm just going to call him Travis now, of Florida State, was shrugging off everyone like it didn't matter. I put on one of the Facebook groups I'm in because I don't know. I vent on those because I have no one to watch it with. But, yeah, I said Notre Dame, it felt like Notre Dame missed like 15 sacks this game, which is, if you remember in the preview, I said we should be able to get pressure all the time, hammer this dude. We're going to get like 5 sacks. I'll have to check. I'm going to check this box score, but I feel like we maybe got 2 sacks, and one of them was at like the very end of the game. If we can see here. Yeah, it's not, sorry guys, when I have to film this video, it's not giving me as many stats as I would like to get. But either way, I do know that, one sec, give me, here we go, I got the better stats pulled up, sorry. Yes, so Notre Dame was only able to get, okay, actually, yeah, like I said, at least 2 of them are garbage time sacks. We got 4 sacks total, 2 between the 2 quarterbacks, which we'll get into kind of when I break stuff down. But like I said, the Travis kid, we could have had him at least 5 other times. There was, including a play where he shrugged off 2 people. I mean, it seemed like the dude was, I'm a Steelers fan, so I'm going to compare this to last year. The Steelers played the first Browns game on that Thursday night when they got wrecked. Baker Mayfield was just going wherever he wanted. We could not bring him down. So basically, this is kind of what happened with this defense too, is this Travis kid was not getting sacked, and he was extending these plays to the point that he just put the team on his back and kind of carried that offense on several different instances. It was very disappointing, to say the least. I mean, that's a good defensive line, but they're just fundamentally, there was just bad mistakes that they were not wrapping up the quarterback, and they were not really wrapping up anyone. Like I said, the running game for Florida State kind of went insane. Definitely over 100 yards. The quarterback had 96 rushing yards, which kind of just goes to prove my point. They're doing a lot of read options. It's almost like they're playing Navy for a little bit, and obviously we didn't really have a practice for Navy, so I guess you could kind of see that there too. A lot of read options, and the quarterback gashed us with that run game, 96 yards, and the running back Webb went for 59 yards and a touchdown. But it felt like more than that, and I really don't know why. Another guy we really beat us bad was Tamori Terry, which I did mention him. I want to take note of that. He was one of my impact players because the kid is a beast. He's a legitimate talent, and he gashed this Notre Dame defense. Take note, Brian Kelly in his press conference after the game did mention the fact that 3 of our corners weren't ready to go until Friday, like Thursday or Friday, and they played. Like, it was not Crawford, Bracey and McLeod, our top 2 corners, were not allowed to practice until Thursday or Friday, the day before the game. And so I think I can cut him a little more slack than I would have. But man, Terry gashed us. 9 receptions, 146 yards, and a touchdown. It's more than all the other receivers combined, I think. No one else really got it going in that pass game, but man, he got us good. Returning wise, we did good. We didn't really let them get any huge punt returns or anything on us. Their kicker was pretty good for them, honestly. Lights out, 2 for 2 on field goals and 2 for 2 on extra points, so good for them. This Florida State team definitely looks better than they were. It's not all Notre Dame was just making mistakes, but there was a lot of that too. And the main thing we need to focus on with that is the turnovers. The reality is I'm giving this defense a tough time, especially when it comes to tackling. But with the 2 or 3 weeks we had off, if we're being honest, people need to think more about the fact that they weren't practicing. Like, it wasn't like they had 3 actual bye weeks. That half the time, or even more, honestly, more than half the time, apparently it was definitely more than half the time with some of them, the fact that McLeod and Bracey weren't even allowed to go till Thursday or Friday, like 2 days before the game, goes to show that they didn't have a lot of time to get ready for this game. And a lot of it, they were trying to work on back into shape. They had a quarantine. The ones who were actually had COVID definitely weren't doing a bunch of workouts. And the ones that didn't were still limited to the confines of where they had the quarantine, so they weren't able to do much. And so this team was trying to get into shape again as more of a conditioning program. Kelly admitted he said they worked them really hard to try to get them back in time for game shape, and it could have led to some stamina issues this game, which makes sense. I think this defense definitely got winded at times. They were playing against a hurry-up kind of offense most of the game, and it was definitely did some wearing on them. I think next week it was good for them to get these game reps in. They weren't tackling a lot in practice. I heard they got like one little scrimmage in for some of them. But like I said, some kids didn't even get to go, weren't ready to go till Friday, so obviously not all of them got to do the scrimmage either. But it just, the defense needed the live tackle again, and I think this will help. I think one of my comments I kind of made, I don't have it written down anymore, but this reminds me a lot of week 1. I think I mentioned that could have happened this game. I said, hey, this might end up kind of like, where it's an off-season thing and we come out rusty, but we get the job done. It's basically what happened. Just like Duke, we probably could beat a Florida State or a Duke team by more than what we did, and we only beat Florida State by, I believe it's 16 points. Don't judge my math. 42-26. But the reality is we were super rusty. Half the team is coming off illness, unable to practice, unable to train. So stamina and rust were huge factors in this game, and I think we need to give some credit to the fact that we still got to win, and there's still parts of this game that really impressed me, specifically the offense. This is the best the offense has looked. That's counting the 52-0 win over South Florida, because obviously Florida State's not great, but they're better than South Florida, and the reality is, it wasn't just a run game that got cooked. We had a pass game today, which is not something I usually get to say. Ian Book threw for 201 yards. It's still not a ton of yardage, but 2 touchdowns on 16 for 25. It was just watching the game. It felt night and day. It felt like we were actually able to move the ball passing. Granted, we didn't really have to. So yet again, they didn't have to throw for 500 yards because we ran for 353 yards and 2 touchdowns. This run game is deadly. And there was people, I think myself included a little bit in the offseason, I was kind of concerned with this running back room when Tony Jones Jr. left earlier than he had another year of eligibility if he wanted to, and he left to be an undrafted free agent for the Saints. I mean, more power to him. I thought it was kind of an interesting move because I figured he would go undrafted. But no, I don't want to hate on him because he did good for us. But I'm kind of glad he didn't come back, because that gave a chance for Kyron Williams and Chris Tyree to really emerge. Kyron is only a redshirt freshman, which is huge. I mean, he's labeled a freshman. This year doesn't even count for anyone's eligibility. So we get 4 more years of him after this. Same with Tyree. Tyree's a freshman. We'll get 4 more years of him too. And the fact is, that's a lethal duo right there. Williams has emerged. To me, he's become one of the top running backs in the country. Another excellent performance. 19 carries, 185 yards, 2 touchdowns. Almost averaged 10 yards per carry, 9.7. And that includes some of those carries at the end where they knew we were running the ball, and he still gained enough yards on him. Williams is a beast. He fumbled. He was one of the 2 bad turnovers that led to 10 of Florida State's points. That's what I was kind of saying with the defense. I'm not going to give them as much crap as I wanted to. I expect them to do better next week, though. They play a tough Louisville offense, but they better hold them to less than 26, or then I'll genuinely be concerned. I think this week, fine, shake the rust off. Get live tackling in again. Build up your stamina. Let's get good to go fully for that Louisville game and remind people why we're the 5th ranked. Probably the 4th ranked team after this week because Florida lost, which was fun. The number 4 team in the country lost. That was beautiful. Either way, don't have to worry about the rankings here. It's just the truth. We'll probably be 4th ranked. We better be 4th ranked, honestly. But this run game is still really impressing me. Ian Book used his feet more today. That's something I said he probably should have done for a while now. The kid is a mobile quarterback. He is a dual threat just as much as anyone else in the country, and I think we kind of forget about that. So he had 58 yards and a touchdown today. He made sure that, hey, the throwing, it made us more willing to throw, I think, because the fact was, hey, even if we can't get the people open, worst case, Book takes off, gets like 5-6 yards. He was doing that pretty consistently throughout this game. The reality is the receiver still leaves some more to be desired, if I'm being honest, but 353 yards rushing is just beautiful. And 201 yards receiving with 2 touchdowns. That's better than anything else we've done this year. We're on the up and up. The tight ends were not really involved today, so I'd like to see, which I guess makes sense if you get the wide receivers more involved, but they're still knowing they're around. They can still make plays. Michael Meyer, the freshman, had his first touchdown of his career, with 2 receptions, 25 yards, and a touchdown. But the breakout performance for today was Javon McKinley, the wide receiver, went for 5 receptions, 107 yards. Oh, he had a pretty good game, if you ask me. When the ball went his way, he was catching it. He was doing this. He wasn't doing this against a slouch. I know I make fun of Florida State's defense, but he was doing it against, Asante Samuel Jr., who, according to most draft boards, probably at the very worst is a 3rd-round draft pick. He's more than likely a 1st or 2nd-round draft pick corner as a junior, which is just, impressive enough. His name carries weight. He's the son of Asante Samuel. He's a beast of a corner. He had a fumble recovery today and 4 tackles, but he got worked. I mean, there's 1 or 2 plays where he got worked by McKinley. He had to hold McKinley the one time, and then McKinley made some sort of move on him and beat him on the other deep ball. So Javon McKinley, the tall not grad transfer. I think he's on his 5th-year option, though, but he's a tall kid, which is obviously Ian Book loves to target the tall kids. McKinley, let me see him real quick, guys. 6'2", number 88. We know him. He's a beast. Brian Kelly really raved about him in this press conference. He said, man, he's a beast. He can get open on almost anyone. If he was able to do this against Asante Samuel, he should be able to do this against anyone. I love to see the coach really hyping him up. It looks like he might have earned that number 1 wide receiver spot, at least for another week. The people coming off injury that I mentioned, I'm like, hey, guys, Skoranek and Austin are back. Look for them to get involved. That did not happen. I don't have exact numbers for how much Kevin Austin was on the field today, but from what I watched, I only noticed him literally once. He got 1 target, no catch. That's all I saw of him. He real quiet, so I assume he's still working his way back. Like I said, these shortened weeks probably didn't help him or Skoranek. No one asked anything about Skoranek, so I'm not sure if they just thought he wasn't ready yet either, but he didn't get a lot of playing time. So we'll have to see. So this wide receiving core is still not even at what it can be. This was just with a healthier Lenzy and a Javon McKinley breaking out. Unfortunately, Wilkins had a pretty bad drop in this game. Same with Tremble. Tremble had 3 targets and only 1 reception. And not a great game for him receiving. 1 reception, 6 yards. And Wilkins had a drop 2 on his only target. Austin didn't really have a chance for his target, to be fair to him. But hopefully he can get more involved next week in these further weeks, because I still have faith that he'll be a pretty giant weapon for us. Real speed guy. He's been hyped up for a while now. If we can get him going in time for this Clemson game, I think he can make a difference for us. So hopefully we can get that kind of going. But in the meantime, Javon McKinley stepped up big time. Lenzy had a decent game. Yardage-wise, nothing crazy, but he did have a receiving touchdown, his first touchdown of the year, along with 3 receptions on 4 targets, which means, he was getting the ball and it went his way for 29 yards. So not bad. Returning-wise, on kick returns, we did pretty well. Tyree had 54 return yards on 2 returns, again, averaging 27, doing what he does. Lawrence Keys got put off the punt return. I think he might be shaken up again. but he also muffed the punt, which also led to a Florida State touchdown. The two bad plays were in our opening drive. Kyron Williams, unfortunately, put the ball on the ground, which you can't do. It was a good play by the defense to pop it out, but it's still, ball security is really important, and this is something that Notre Dame team has preached for a while. Luckily, Notre Dame still kept their faith in Williams, and he rewarded them by having 185 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. So, there's that. He did well. To me, Kyron Williams is a Heisman contender. I don't care what anyone says. Let's get this Kyron Williams Heisman campaign going. I'm excited about him. But yeah, so defensively, like I said, not a lot to be kind of proud about with this defense. Sean Crawford did decent. I think he got beat a couple times, being a smaller guy, especially if you had to deal with Tamori and Terry. It's hard, that's a hard matchup for anyone, especially Crawford, who's been playing safety all year. Got moved to corner again today, which obviously he played a lot of corner his other 5 years with the team, mainly in the slot, though. But he had to step up due to the fact, like I said, Nick McLeod, Cam Hart, and Tariq Bracy all basically weren't available until Friday. So, give him some credit. He had a pick that kind of really sealed that game for us, along with two pass defenses. I don't know how to say it. Passes defended. There we go. So, good game by Crawford. Pick and 2 passes deflected. I'm going to say deflected. And not bad at all. Tariq Bracy also had a pass deflection and 8 tackles. There's a lot of tackles from the secondary, which is never great. It means their running backs and stuff were getting into our backfield a lot. That offense moved on us, I'm going to be honest. It's pretty disappointing. But like I said, most of that could probably be attributed to the fact that they did not get a lot of live tackling reps. They were all unconditioned for the most part, having the kind of just be in quarantine for like 10 days. Most of these guys, we don't even know who officially was and who officially wasn't. But there wasn't a lot of practices going on, I'll tell you that much. Sacks-wise, Adi Ogundeji missed some sacks too, like I said, which was disappointed. He got shrugged off once or twice, but it kind of makes it even more impressive that he still managed to get 2 of the 4 sacks while being shrugged off all those times. The other sacks will go to Bo Bauer, the linebacker, who did decent. I'd say 4 tackles, 2 of them for a loss. I thought he did pretty good in that run game, helped out a bit whenever he was on the field. He did have, I think it was a personal roughing someone or unsportsmanlike on one of the kick returns, which wasn't great, but hey, everyone makes mistakes sometimes. And Ovi Ogufu. I could get some of the names of like the Nigerian kids and the ones over with those last names, but not Ogi Ogufu. I did my best. Yeah, I know Ogundeji and Owusu Koromoa, but not him. But he got a sack too. In the playing time he kind of got due to the fact that Myron Takavalosa, Tua's cousin, was out due to COVID restrictions, along with Jack Kaiser, another linebacker who probably could have, I think he would have done decent in this run game, so maybe that's something to keep it out for. But your 2 players of the game on this defense is definitely Crawford for having that pick along with 2 pass deflections, but Owusu Koromoa had a day again. Not as flashy as in the past, no turnovers or sacks generated, but when he has 4 tackles, 2 of them for a loss, and he was whacking some guys. He hit the quarterback on like a helicopter hit, almost flipped the kid, and then on a running back draw, it might have been, no, I think it was a read option again, but he read it perfectly and boom, smacked the running back. You might be able to find that clip going over Twitter or YouTube or something, but man, he whacked that kid. It was a great hit by him. Him and Hamilton are still our best players on that defense. Hamilton didn't register anything flashy off the paper either, but he did get 8 tackles. He was around the ball enough, did pretty good, led the team in tackles along with Bracy. Also, I'll give some credit to those corners who I mentioned. The fact that Bracy and McLeod weren't available until Friday. The fact that they still kind of did decent is testament to their work ethic and what they could be able to get done. They seemed to pick it up a bit more into the game, including McLeod, who ended up with 2 pass deflections. One almost pick. The receiver had to play defensive back on that to get the ball out of his hands on that play. So not bad by those guys. Like I said, I expect this defense as a whole to do better next week. They did enough today, and I think the biggest thing I wanted to point out with that is the fact that Florida State got, 10 points off turnovers. So you take those away, it's 16 points. And even then, even if you keep those, they only had 6 points after halftime. And really, only 9 points after the first quarter. So this defense, as much as they kind of gave up some stuff, they really kept that bend, don't break, even with the rust. and did very well to hold that team to under 7 points in the second half. Offensively, though, the same can be said with Notre Dame, though, because unfortunately on our offense, we only scored 7 points in the second half. But in that fourth quarter, we already had a lead. We had the lead build up, and we're kind of more protecting it. So it'd be a little more expected. Florida State was definitely trying to put points up in that second half, and we held them pretty well. So let's go. If we're doing players of the game, Ian Book. I'm going to do Ian Book. Williams really impressed me again. That kid's player of the game every game, and really it's a testament to that stellar offensive line. Shout out to Liam Eichenberg, who had to leave the game with a jacked up eye. His eye was swollen shut, like, Rocky. He played the rest of the half. He came back after icing his eyeball. It was like swollen shut and purple. It was crazy. Put a slapped the visor on, played the rest of the game, did well. And the kid who came in for him did very solid too. Definitely not worried about Notre Dame's O-line, as I'm sure most Notre Dame fans aren't. But since Williams is a guy, it's almost to be expected to him to ball out this way, and I want to mix it up a bit. I have yet to give a player of the game to Ian Book, and this was his best game yet, if you ask me. His pocket awareness was excellent. I don't think he got sacked once. No sacks at all. He avoided pressure gracefully. I mean, there's a couple times where they come through the edge and he just step up in the pocket, shift away like he's supposed to, gets the ball off. No mistakes, no turnovers, no sacks, no fumbles. Just a well-executed game by him. 16-25, 201 yards and 2 touchdowns. He made the right plays. The best game I've seen by Ian Book in a while. I was really proud. Like he cares. Oh, I'm proud of you, Ian. Okay. But yes, great game. Great game by Ian. It's something I hope for him to build on. Next week they play a pretty lousy Louisville defense, but I'll get into that, when it's preview time for that game. But player of the game on defense has to be... That's tougher because, like I said, there's not a lot to be proud of with that defense. But it might be Owusu. I think I have to go Owusu Koromoa because he never gave up. And he made some of those pop plays that I feel like kind of got that defense more motivated. But close seconds, probably Crawford, just for stepping up. The fact he switched positions again, he's been training and working at safety all year. To switch back to corner for a game and to do a relatively good job, 2 pass deflections and a pick, that's really impressive as well. So, guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know how you thought of this game. I know a lot of Notre Dame fans were disappointed. I am too. I was a little disappointed, but, time heals all. It's been like an hour, so I've got to really think about it. And the reality is I kind of mentioned this as a possibility where we come out rusty and rough. And it's closer than it should be, which is exactly what happened. I mean, we gave up 20 points to Florida State in the first and only 6 in the second. So they shut it down. Even by halftime, they looked better. And so I expect them to carry this momentum. I won't be panic mode unless we barely win or lose to Louisville. Knock on wood. Thank you guys for watching. Like I said, let me know who your player of the games are. If you want someone different than me, talk anything Notre Dame, talk with me. Feel free. I'll talk about any player or anything, any concerns, any praises you want to give for the team, anything. I'm willing to discuss all of it, and I enjoy that. I respond to all comments as long as it's not spam. Which, I mean, if you're a spam commenter, you don't watch the videos anyway, so you won't hear this. But yeah, respond to all comments. I'd love to talk with you guys about this stuff. This is KMA Preston. Make sure you click up here for my playlist on Notre Dame recaps. Click right here to subscribe, and over here's a video that YouTube recommended for you from my channel. All right, this is KMA Preston signing out. Go Irish.